All right, let's go. All right, Tim, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, you know, Dad, there's that old saying, "Oh, ye with little faith." So you and I have always said...
You've always said,
if a team comes off a road trip, like a long road trip, and they're playing their first game at home, bet against them.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you said the wives are, and they got to take care of the kids, and they got to do it.
And Rose, I remember Rose saying, "This makes me look bad." I say, I'm not saying you do it, but it always happens.
So we're sitting there, and Boston comes off a successful road trip, 5-0, 6-0, or something like that, and
3-3. They were winning 3-1 too.
Right, and they play They're playing the Ducks, who are so you go, well, we can't take the Ducks over the Bruins, no matter what you'd say, right? And sure enough, Bruins are up 3-1.
3-1.
Bing 3-2, bing 3-3. They win it in overtime. And you could have got big dough betting on the Ducks.
Well, you had to listen to me, Tim.
I know, but like you look and you go, nah, that can't happen. And you just like, instead of, if you do that, you have a good chance of making some good dough.
Yeah, you shouldn't. But I want to talk about Tuck and Tay-Chuck.
Yeah.
I want to talk about them. I like Tuck. I do like him. He's not afraid of anybody. And he starts to fight with Brady Tay-Chuck. Now, here's the thing I've never understood this.
Yeah, but like, just to give people who hadn't seen it, Brady was going into the corner, didn't have the puck. And Alex Tuck, they had a thing going the whole game. He just kind of stuck his hip out and sent him.
I like Tuck.
Yeah, sent him flying. Like he wasn't expected to hit. And then Brady gets up and drops the gloves, and the other guy drops the gloves, and they have a fight.
But shouldn't that have been initially an interference?
Yeah, but let me tell you what. Yeah. Let me tell you what Brady got. He got a 5-minute major. He got it, for fighting. 2-minute minor
for instigating.
Yeah, for instigating. Instigate. 5-minute major for fighting. Game misconduct. Got a game misconduct. Jason E. Smith got fined $10,000 because he let him. What's he supposed to do? And one game suspension.
Right. And the reason with that was because he got an instigator fight with less than 5 minutes to go in the game.
But imagine that.
So they still fine the coach, even if it's in the last 5 minutes.
Well, they got $10,000 fine.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a 5-minute. That's the rule. If there's an instigating penalty for fighting with less than 5 minutes a game, it's 2-5 game and 1 game suspension, and the coach gets nailed for $10,000.
And get 10 grand.
Wow.
Well, that's to keep them from fighting in
that's
the last
fight.
Well, we wouldn't want the people to fight.
No.
Oh, because the people will enjoy it too.
I bet you J.D. Smith said, "I'm not doing anything."
I remember, honestly, I don't know what I was doing there, but I remembered, I remember the referee, the head of the referee saying, "This crowd is enjoying this game too much. Let's get this crowd out of it."
So, Dad, how many times did you get fined?
Well, I got fined, I got fined quite a bit, unfortunately, and the team paid for it. And except Harry Sinnen. He really was really sharp. He waited till I got with Colorado, and he sent us the bill, $750.
So what did you get fined for?
Ron Wicks was over giving a penalty or something, and I forget what it was. And I got on the ice and I started to run at him, and I started to slide. I couldn't stop from sliding. Bang! I hit him. I didn't mean to hit him, but I hit him anyhow. Anyhow, I got fined $750, and
so
Harry.
Kind of what was the process?
I got a call, and it was from Diane. And when you get a call from her, you know you're in deep trouble. This is Diane. Mr. Campbell's office. Please wait for Mr. Campbell. And he made you wait about 5 minutes. And he says,
It's like waiting for the principal. Right?
yeah, holy jeez. And I used to get strapped there too. And boy, I'll tell you, when he gets on it, and he says, playing your actions in Pittsburgh. And I kind of bullshitted my way. and unacceptable. $750. Boy, was he mad. Here's a guy who'd been in Nuremberg trials.
Yeah, he was a judge in the Nuremberg trials.
Really?
Clarence Campbell, yeah.
Yeah, he was in Nuremberg trials.
Oh.
And then you met him too, didn't you?
Oh yeah. Well, when I was probably been about 11, and it was at the Boston Gardens. We were sitting there, and he was sitting about 5 rows behind us. So Mom said, "You know who that gentleman is?" And I go, "No." She goes, "Well, that's the president of the National Hockey League, Clarence Campbell, and he runs the National Hockey League." And I go, "Oh yeah." He goes, "And he's the one that finds."
How old were you? How old were you?
About 11, and so she goes, "Go up and say hello." So I don't want to go up and say it. Go up and say hello. Go up and make hello. So all right. So I went up. I said, "Hello, Mr. Campbell. My name's Tim Cherry, and my father's the coach of the Bruins." And he goes, "Oh, hello," and it was kind of brusque. And I said, "My mom wants to know if you got his check." And he started to laugh. And he goes, "Yes, tell your mother I got your father's payment."
That's pretty good, Tim.
After he left, it was John Ziegler, right?
John Ziegler, yeah.
And I remember you showed Mom a letter after, I guess it was the first or the second time you met Montreal in the finals, and he goes, "Don, I want to congratulate you and the Bruins for
I was coach of the year that year.
Yeah, an exciting, Stanley Cup Finals that the NHL and their fans can be proud of." And it's with, he goes, "But I have to fine you $1,000 for you and Scotty's antics." So you and Scotty were always getting fun.
I remember at the airport, you know how they say, and the reason that you're coming to Canada, and I said, I can't really say what I said to beat the Montreal Canadiens. Boy, that guy gave me a hard time. I remember him grabbing there was a paper on the floor, and it was a picture. People have been walking on it and everything. It was a picture of Greg Shepard and his kids. So I thought I'd keep it. He said, "That's my paper." And I grabbed a whole bunch of change and threw it out. Jeez. I wonder we didn't get in jail.
Well, I think that one of the funny stories, too, is I think it was after that, Harry Sinden gave you a heck. The GM says, "We're the Boston Bruins, Don. You must have some decorum.
Yeah.
You must have some decorum. We're original 6 team. You can't act like that." Then what happened?
And then so I said, "I suppose you're right." So I had to go up after a 3-2 game. We lost 3-2. I come down, and there's 2 policemen got Harry. Harry was kicking in the referee's door. Harry was... him and I were good friends ever at the start. We were our enemies at the end.
So, Cindy and Dad, we'd like to thank our sponsors, Spreads.ca. They're a Canadian-owned online...
You don't mind if I jump in here in a little bit? If that Quintal had been doing he wouldn't have gotten all that trouble.
Yeah, Shane Pinto, he got 41 game suspension for
41 games suspension. They wanted to do the whole year.
The whole year they were going to give him, but
he never bet on NHL games.
Yeah, so I try to find out kind of what happened there, and the NHL's keeping it close to vest, but you read stuff on papers, and so what it sounded like was he's in Ottawa. He wanted to play on a app that was based in New York and wouldn't take Canadian people. So he got a third party to open up the account for him, and the third party did some betting. And I guess what the NHL did, if you're a partner with the NHL to bet that if an NHL player puts opens up an account that they tell the NHL and they flag it. So, So if you would have used the Canadian, he wouldn't have had any problem.
Well, do your commercial.
Yeah. So he goes, Spreads is a Canadian-owned online casino and sportsbook. And if you sign up now and use the promo GRAPES, they'll spot your first bet, $25. Get 10 spins on the big wheel for some big dough, and they'll match you to first deposit up to $250. So that was, that was. Well, as they say, the Players Association stepped in and said no 41 games instead of the whole.
Should have been betting on it with us.
Right. So, Dad, Connor McDavid is injured.
Yeah, but he's going to play.
He's going to play tonight on the Heritage game. But tell us the story of when you second year in Boston. You know, the first year in Boston, Bobby played all 80 games.
Yeah.
Hard to believe, hey? You guy that injured
played the whole game. That was the only time he ever played the whole
game. Led the league in scoring, but the next year, not so much.
Imagine a defenseman leading the league in scoring. What he be getting today?
And he had to have over 100 minutes in penalties.
And he had 100 minutes in penalty. How many fights he have?
I don't know. He had a couple, but he didn't fight too much with you.
No, he didn't fight. Well, I wouldn't let him fight.
You wouldn't let him fight.
Well, he had.
You said that to Brad Park. You went up and yelled at Park and said,
Park actually led the New York Rangers in fights. Is that? I mean, that's hard to believe. Their star fought more than anybody. So I said, and everybody was antagonizing him, and he dropped the gloves right away. And I said, I forbid you to fight. And he didn't want to fight. I could tell, he didn't want to fight, but he would. He said, well, what about, and I said, don't worry.
Yeah, because you said, well, what if somebody spears me? And you said, we got guys to take care of that.
We've got guys.
That's why you had so many guys that could play like Brad Park and Jean Rattel. They could go freewheeling out there because everyone knew leave them alone because you had guys to back it up.
Well, especially Rattel. You touch Rattel. I won't get into that one.
So just getting back, Dad, Connor McDavid, he'll be playing tonight. He was injured. But tell about the time you found out Bobby was injured your second year.
I'll never forget this. We were at the airport, and I'll never forget this. I was with Vadney.
And you were going to Chicago, right?
We're going to Chicago, yeah. It's funny, we're going to Chicago, of all places. So we're going to Chicago, and Vad and I are getting on the plane. We were the last guys getting on the plane, as usual. And here comes Bobby out, and he says, my knee locked on me. By the time I got to Chicago, the guy had operated on him already. I said, "What, Bobby, what is that guy called? Does he have a scalpel in the back pocket?" But I couldn't believe that. He had the operation already. And all it was locked. It was a piece of bone had got in and his knee. If you had worked it out, he could have worked. Anyhow.
There went the Stanley Cup.
There goes we went, and with Brad and Park and Bobby Orr on the defense, we won 9 out of 10. We might have never lost a game. And the first game was in Vancouver, and we lost that one 5-3. I'll never forget that one. But after that, we just bing.
So when Bobby Orr and Brad Park were on, you had them on the course power play together. Like, who played what side?
Brad played the left side, and he used to put it over to Bobby, just feathered across there like that, bang, and Cesar Maniego had 63 shots on him, and he says it's like having 2 cannons back there, and it was good. Well, anyhow, we got in.
But but what happened was you guys went on a pretty big run after that.
Yeah. Well, what did we win?
14-3-3.
I don't understand that. I don't.
Well, you said sometimes that teams rely too much on their superstar.
Well, we sure did on Bobby Orr, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but he delivered, though. He led the league in scoring, so.
He led the league in scoring, so he must have been doing something right.
I remember, Dad, your big game plan was to the players, when Bobby has the puck, just stay on side. That was the game plan for your coaching.
And he thought that was funny. But I actually meant it.
Yeah, I'm sure you did.
Because he used to do that.
Oh, if a player went offside when he was on a roll with the puck, you really felt sorry for the player coming back to the bench because you could tell you were waiting for them.
He would he make that little move at center ice and bang, he'd be gone.
So, Dad, didn't you play with a guy in Rochester that if he didn't give him the puck?
If he was going on stride and you didn't give him the puck, if center iceman, if you didn't give him the puck, he'd go offside on purpose. I go right back to the bench.
Who was that?
Jim Pappin. I never forgot that. And boy, was he mad.
So what you just skate offside if you didn't give him the puck.
You go offside on purpose.
And everyone knew it.
And everybody knew it, and you go right back to the bench and sit down, and nobody'd say a word to him because he wanted the puck on stride. Anyhow.
Cindy and Dad, we have a new sponsor. It's Vintage Tendy Magazine. That's Vintage Tendy, all one word, magazine.
And I've got a story in there. Let me tell you something. These are the best pictures I've ever seen of a goaltender. I don't know where he gets the pictures, but he sure gets them.
Well, it's a magazine, and it's for goalies by goalies, and that's why they call it Tendy, like you're Tendy. So it's Vintage Tendy Magazine. And Cindy, you've worked with a lot of different magazines and stuff like that, and it is absolutely...
I'm a magazine person. Right. I'm still the old school. And I'll tell you, it's the glossy pictures, and the paper is heavy. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like it's real quality stuff. And I just go, how can they do these pictures?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like even legally too.
I don't know where he gets them.
They are just, the colors are, I don't know, the heft of the magazine is really impressive.
Right, high gloss finish. And I'm a guy that, like, one of my jobs is like looking for footage and photos. And they got photos I've never seen. That one photo, they had a cover a couple of months ago of Eddie Johnson.
Yeah.
And it looked like it was a high definition picture.
Yeah.
I mean, if you got a man cave and you watch hockey, you'd want this magazine. And if you have that magazine, you have your buddies over, they'll spend the whole game looking through that magazine. It's
unbelievable. It is unbelievable.
So they have 4 issues a year. This new issue is a Clint Malarchuk story, a picture of Clint Malarchuk, and lots of other... you can visit trendymagazine.com. That's VINTAGETENDY magazine.com to get a subscription, or visit them on their Facebook site, Vintage Tendy Magazine. And as they say, you'll never have a magazine in your house that has better quality than that.
Clear as that.
Hey, Dad, I saw a great article the other day on Kowloons, our favorite restaurant in Boston.
Listen, it was 5 minutes away from the house. I was there all the time.
Oh,
what was your favorite food?
My favorite food was the lobster sauce, the lobster sauce, which
had
no lobster in it. It was pork, but anyway.
What was yours, Tim?
Oh, I like the ribs. They had their ribs there at Kowloons.
Yeah, I like the ribs, too.
They had to get their poo-poo platter at the beginning.
I'll tell you one story about it. As we stopped on the way home, and it was unbelievable. We picked up a whole bunch of ribs, and when I was through with we were through with the ribs. We just stuck them in the canary.
Well, who were you with?
Oh yeah, we were with Millbury, Riley, and I forget the other, Schmatzy probably out that way. Anyhow, and when we're through with the ribs, we just stick them in the bird cage. We got up in the morning, and he'd eaten all the food.
You had the only carnivorous canary out there.
Yeah.
So Kowloons kind of became the unofficial headquarters and party place of the Boston Bruins right to this day.
To this day, they still go.
I think people would go there, but I think it was you and started it, and now it's kind of like the official place where the players go.
Well, that's right. Well, we lived in Saugus, right? Because it's in Saugus, and we lived in Saugus for 2 years.
I was in a house that just single guys.
So, I mean, it was quite the place, and I remember we used to have a wrap-up party there all the time.
All the time, and when we had the Colorado, when we walked into Boston and beat Boston, we were on a roll then too.
Yeah, well, he had the good goalie McKenzie, and then
Billy McKenzie.
Then John Wensink fell on him and wrecked his knee, and
that was it.
So, did you take the hockey team to Kowloons when you went in?
Yep.
You took the whole team in there.
Took the whole team there, and the owner picked it up and. The whole
really?
Day. Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Do you remember the time you actually thought that because you were always sick after the playoffs and all that with your cold and everything, that you thought that Mom and I weren't going to go to the wrap-up party because you had a cold?
Yeah. I thought, I was really surprised that you people were going to go.
Yeah.
And they said, what, we're going to stay home from the party?
Exactly. I go, I don't think so.
And you remember what happened to the car?
Oh, so I'm driving. You had that Seville, that white Seville.
I loved it.
And I'm halfway there, and it gave out. And I don't know. I steered it to the inside meridian. And in those days, this is the 70s, there's no cell phone. And remember they used to have those filthy phones on the inside, for outside.
Yeah.
So I picked it up and I called Kowloons. And I said,
You phoned from the. Oh yeah.
I phoned from one of
They
those.
used to have those
filthy-
emergency phones.
emergency
Yeah,
phones.
yeah,
You just
yeah.
pick an operator. I said, "Can I have Kowloons in Saugus?" And so the guy picked it up. They answered, and I said, "This is Cindy Cherry, and the Boston Bruins are having their wrap-up party." And I said, "Can you get Mike Milbury on the line and go get him?" And so I said, "Mike, we're stranded on the side of the road." So Terry came, picked us up. Now you can imagine how dangerous that would probably be, Tim. Eh?
Yeah, like people who don't know Route 1.
Route 1,
It's like if you're in Toronto, it's like the QEW Gardner type
And
of thing.
the Meridian, the shoulder
Yeah.
was like barely as wide as a
Anyhow,
car could
my
fit.
car, my beautiful 1976 Seville, was parked on the side of the road, and I said, my car is still there.
Well, because we Mike drove us home because he lived right down from us. You get up and there's no car in the driveway, and you're probably thinking, "Gee, Cindy must have had a lot of Mai Tais." That was my
Yeah.
favorite. And you said, "Where's my car?" You guys, well, we left it there. Boy, were you upset.
I was.
There'll be nothing left of it by the time they go down there.
And there wasn't one thing missing.
No, you got this tow truck and brought it home, but.
I remember the first year we were there, the guys decided to have the Christmas party at Kowloons, and the tradition was gag gifts.
Yeah.
And it didn't go over very well.
No,
did
it didn't. And I said, no more gag gifts. And we had parties after the game.
But just no gifts or anything.
No
like-
gifts
Well,
or anything.
tell
like,
us, Tim, some of the gifts.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
Well, the
remember.
one gift was Terry O'Reilly. He wasn't a very good skater, so they gave him double runners and then a blade, like a hockey pants with blades on it.
Yeah.
He got mad.
yeah, and he was mad.
And I don't forget some of the other ones.
Well, Betty Cheevers, she had like a club thumbs, and they gave her like big gloves with thumbs on them, and she got upset.
Anyhow,
and then
Well, then remember what they gave you.
yeah, I got a dog. I got a Yorkie, and I brought it home. And Blue was not too happy.
Yeah, but they called him Mr. Wensing because you were always talking about John.
I was always talking about John, and all the time. If Winsink was here, and
Yeah. So what'd you do with the dog? Like that's kind of a mean gift. Like the one thing you do.
well, it
don't
was a
give
Yorkie puppy. Actually, it was a little puppy with a Boston Bruin knitted sweater. It was just gorgeous, cute little thing. And you remember,
I did not want it, and I
Blue wasn't happy.
do you remember who you gave it to?
Yeah, and I remember I give it to who did I give
Kenny
it to?
Hodges'
Oh,
family.
Kenny Hodge. Yeah, I wasn't too happy.
So Cindy, there was one gift though.
Well, once you get the wives involved, then you knew that, and they were upset. You knew that this whole scenario was going to go down. But anyway, there was a couple that was associated with the team, and they were on the heavy side. And they were given as a gift a portrait or a poster of two heavy-set people that were naked walking hand in hand down the beach. Well, it was sort of embarrassing, and the wife really got upset and started to cry and the whole deal. And the wives didn't think it was that funny. And of course, the players just thought this was hilarious, right?
There's players that think that.
Yes, it's funny.
Yeah, the hockey players have a mean sense of humor.
That's right. Well, and the wives go, not so funny. So mom probably gave you the look, and you knew that these
Everybody
gag-
left mad.
Yeah.
Everybody it was supposed to be a party, and everybody left mad.
Yeah, everyone was upset, and mom was upset about the dog, and you got grief from me about giving away the puppy. The whole deal.
It was the whole thing. The whole thing was. I said from now on, no more gag gifts. We can have a party, but we'll have no more gag gifts.